you guys coming out of this preseason? What's the sense of the group as the real game starts to take shape and right in front of you?
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I think we've achieved what we want to achieve so far, and I think we've been able to give enough input to the players to keep things fresh. At the same time, holding on to certain behaviors and principles that have made us successful over the past couple of years. And so I think to sum it up, we've been able to build on a pretty strong foundation already and add a few new pieces. And I think physically, with the exception of Odin Holm, we've come out pretty clean, and looking forward to getting this marathon season underway.
Coming off of last year, where did you feel like you guys needed to make some changes, and how have you seen that come into reality as the offseason played out?
I think the obvious roster change you'll see is just maybe adding some youth and getting a little younger over certain positions and maybe a little more mobility and aggressiveness. And I think the word we used at the end of last season was bringing in players who are hungry to win, hungry to prove themselves, and hungry to make LAFC successful. And from what I've seen so far, we've been able to achieve that.
So America, we know, is the three-time Mexican champion, right? So beyond the fact that this is friendly, I think it's a good parameter for the LAFC to show, what should we all expect from the team. So how are you guys preparing for this game?
It's a great opportunity for us to have Club America here in LA and to play against their team. It's a great team. From what I can tell, a very well coached team, well organized. They have weapons all over the park. So it's going to be a great challenge for our guys. I couldn't think of a better final preseason matchup for us. It really sets up nicely also before the CCC or the Champions Cup. And so, I'm really excited about tomorrow and looking forward to hopefully a pro LAFC crowd, but I can't guarantee that.
Also, we know some of the profits are going towards the people that were affected by the fires.
Yeah.
How does that make the team feel about it?
Great. I think the team is focused on performance and finishing preseason in a positive note or manner. But anytime we can do our jobs and help the community we live in at the same time, it's a great feeling and it's important. And it's one of the missions of LAFC is to also build a stronger community. And having Club America here to help makes it more special.
What are the goals for this season, Coach?
I think the goals at LAFC are always to win trophies. You don't always get those opportunities, but it's important to strike when you can. And those remain the same goals.
America has a lot of stars. Any particular player to take maybe more precautions?
They're all so good. And I think that's the difference between top Liga MX clubs. They can kind of spread the quality out over the entire roster, where in the MLS we're focused on maybe a few key positions due to our roster rules and regulations. And so it's really hard to say. I'm looking forward to seeing Brian Rodriguez again, one of our ex-players who I had the opportunity to coach. So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Hey, Coach, thank you for your time. You're in preseason, they're already playing some games. How do you prepare for Club America?
Yeah, I think physically and tactically they might be a few weeks ahead of us. And that's just fine for us. And it's even better to really test our players, to show our players hopefully a level that we need to get to in the next week or two. And it's impossible to prepare a team in preseason for an entire season. So we are in a good spot right now, both mentally and physically and tactically. But 3-4 weeks into the season, we'll be at 100%, but only until then. And that just takes time and games.
What are you hoping to get out of tomorrow? Like, what are you hoping to see?
More of what we've seen already in our preseason matches. So really tying together the 4 phases and making sure that we are strong in each phase. And I think maybe more importantly, this season we've asked the players to find solutions when teams throw problems our way or show us different looks. What solutions can the players make real time to absorb pressure possibly, or find solutions offensively with the ball? And we have tried to empower the players to make those decisions on their own. They have the tools, they have the know-how, but applying that into real life situations or real game situations is now up to the players, and I'm looking forward to seeing that accomplished.
I haven't seen much of your preseason, just watched the match against Chicago. Chicago, but my understanding is that was the same lineup as the match before. So, are you rotated a lot last year between 2 in the midfield, 3 in the midfield, 5 in the back, 3 in the back. How do you see these different formations? Where do you think you'll start the season out in terms of the way you guys line up?
Yeah, we'll start the season with the ability to do both. And for us, they're just starting positions and prioritizing certain portions of the field. Sometimes it's because the opponent does the exact same and we feel better. It's better to control opponents. So away from home, there are other solutions. At home, we have different solutions. But from what we can tell in preseason, our team feels very comfortable slipping right inside both formations. It's something now we're working on doing in the middle of a half and not just at halftime or prepare them in the week prior. So it's something that we worked on all year, and I think we've solidified the ability to do both, and now feeling comfortable and have the ability at any moment in the game to change if that gives us an advantage.
Rodrigo, go ahead.
How important has this preseason been for Giroud? Since last year he had a little trouble adapting to his teammates, and if you can give us any updates on Kike Oliveira and Carlos, since he was in the middle with that face-off.
Yeah, Olivier has been, after a proper rest. I think when we bring players in from Europe in mid-season and summer for us, it's always difficult because they don't really get a rest. They come off of a long, grueling season and have to start back up again and jump into a team that's already fit in mid-season. So it's never an easy acclimation for a player coming from Europe. But that adjustment period is over. He's had his break, and he's looking very fresh and bright and fit in preseason and scoring goals. So quite happy with that and where he is. Kike is here in LA and training with the group. Our training and just catching up on some much-needed fitness. Regarding your question about Carlos, I believe he and the club are in talks, and I'll leave that communication and messaging up to those two parties.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Celso, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Good talking to you again. Just wanted to ask you about Igor Jesus. You mentioned early mobility, aggressiveness. Guys are hungry. What have you seen from him so far that satisfies some of these things that you're looking for, these new core players?
Yeah, I mean, we tried to find someone for that position who can physically improve us, meaning we can cover a lot of ground, but also have the added aggressiveness, sort of like a terrier in the middle of midfield, and he's exactly that. But at the same time, having somebody who's technically proficient enough to calm the game down for us, sort of be like a little mini quarterback in there, if you will. And he's been able to show that as well. So we've been very, very pleased with Igor's performances so far. And in the short period of 4.5 weeks, he's already solidified himself as an important part of our group, and has a wonderful work ethic and is constantly trying to improve and working hard. So I couldn't be happier with Igor. He's done fantastic so far.
Great. If you could quickly also mention where is Marlon physically? What have you seen in preseason? Is he ready to go in the beginning of 2025?
Yeah, I think he's had to take a break here and there in preseason, so he hasn't completed 100%. But I think he'll have enough in the tank to get meaningful minutes and to help us as a group, and to get his qualities on the field. More importantly, he's a very smart defender, also physically capable of playing that position, whether it's 3 in the back, 5 or 4. who's also technically good enough to help us and calm the game down with the ball. So I think we'll see a lot of Marlon this year, and just a question of when.
Very good. Thanks for your time.
All right, Michael, go ahead.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Steve. You mentioned Brian Rodriguez earlier, Steve, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on having coached him as part of your 2022 MLS Cup championship team. But more so, is he proof of concept in terms of developing a teenager and then watching him excel in Liga MX, watching him excel for Uruguay, and the way the club does business?
He's one of many. Yeah, I think if you watched Mateus Bogos's debut the other day for Cruz Azul, I think you can also see proof of concept. He had a great first game, great debut, was impactful on the result. Has done fantastic. So, yeah, I do think we're a great place for players to learn, to develop, but also play at a very high level and challenge themselves and also compete for trophies. So there's many lessons players who are not finished with their development can learn here and increase value. And I think it's a great place to be for that. Yeah, Brian is one of the most talented players I've seen and coached. And he has seemed to settle in nicely and matured. I don't know about off the field, but on the field he certainly has matured into a prolific attacker. Is what we saw in it from day one, and I'm very happy for him. And it seems like he's enjoying his football too, which makes me happy as well.
If I could ask a follow-up, can you share insight into your personnel plan in terms of, will this be more like you've made a habit of putting in some younger players in the second half of some preseason friendlies, or will you treat this more like a CONCACAF match -1 or MLS season opener -1 in terms of keeping the 11 in a little bit longer?
Yeah, we intend to push our players a little longer to get some meaningful minutes. We have something else scheduled for Wednesday as well to push other players too. So everybody in the roster will get close to 90 minutes in the next couple of days.
Thank you very much.
Okay, this will be the last question. Max, go ahead.
Thank you, Logan. Hey, Coach. Question. I know you mentioned some of the younger players and getting them integrated into the team. The two that I have seen the preseason, Adrian and Nate, logging some minutes. How have you seen their preseason, and do you foresee them earning more minutes when the games count here in the next couple of weeks? Yeah, Nate has come in in a very good fashion. Has come in really fit. Did a lot of work in the off season, which we're happy to see, and is really taking his chances in preseason. So he's impressed us a lot, and he's matured as a player. And he's going to see a lot of minutes, and we are looking for Nate also to produce, and not just sporadically, but also consistently when he comes on or starts games. So Nate has definitely made a next step in his career, which we're happy to see. And Adrian is making his first steps. In the final third, Adrian is quite effective and gets on the end of a lot of stuff. Those are qualities that are hard to teach, and he needs to learn, between the boxes now and the rest of the game. But we'll get him there, and hopefully he can contribute. For our first team this season. I don't know how often and when, but he's certainly hungry and putting in the work, and has one of the best attitudes out there. So I would love to see him help us out. Again, I just don't know when and where.